On a quiet September morning in 2006, Germany's most advanced train raced silently through the sky on a cushion of magnetic force. Designed to be the future of rail travel, the Maglev train promised unmatched speed, safety, and innovation. This train was more than just a marvel of engineering. It was the culmination of decades of research into magnetic levitation technology, promising to revolutionize the way people and goods moved across countries. It was meant to offer a smooth, near-silent journey at speeds far beyond traditional rail, with the potential to drastically reduce travel between major cities and reshape the future of transportation. The German government and industry leaders had pinned great hopes on Transrapid systems to position Germany as a global leader in high-speed rail technology. But within moments, that promise turned into tragedy. Travelling at nearly 200 kilometers per hour, the train slammed into a maintenance vehicle still on the track. 23 lives were lost, and 10 more were injured. It exposed the harsh reality that even the most advanced systems are vulnerable, especially when human communications and safety protocols both fail. The tragedy shocked the nation and raised urgent questions about the limits of automation and the vital role of human oversight. This is the story of the Lathen train collision, a disaster caused not by technology, but by devastating human error. Maglev derived from magnetic levitation, which is a system of track-bound transportation. It uses sets of magnets to levitate the vehicle off the track and to move the floating train ahead at great speeds. This takes advantage of the lack of friction. The result is a smooth, ultra-fast ride with minimal mechanical resistance and noise. Unlike conventional trains that run on wheels and rails, the Maglev trains hover above the track, supported and propelled entirely by magnetic forces. This eliminates almost all physical contact, meaning no friction wears down the components and no noise comes from the wheels rolling on the tracks. As a result, Maglev trains can achieve incredible speeds with great efficiency and less maintenance compared to traditional rail systems. However, this advanced technology also requires highly precise control systems and coordination to operate safely. In the early 2000s, Germany was at the forefront of futuristic rail travel. Thanks to the Transrapid, a magnetic levitation train that promised near-silent, ultra-fast and low-maintenance transport. Rather than running on wheels, the Transrapid floated above the track, propelled by powerful electromagnets. The technology was developed by Transrapid International, a joint venture between industrial giants such as Siemens AG and ThyssenKrupp. The system was capable of speeds up to 450 kilometers an hour and was marketed globally as the future of high-speed rail. The Transrapid system symbolized a giant leap forward for rail travel, and it was intended to compete with aeroplanes for short to medium distances, offering city centre to city centre service without the delays of airport security and check-in. It promised to combine speed, safety, and environmental benefits, as the trains produced no direct emissions. Despite these promises, there were also challenges. The high cost of construction, complex infrastructure needs, and the difficulty of integrating such a novel system into an existing transport network. A successful example already operates in Shanghai, China, shuttling passengers from the city to its airport. To promote the technology and continue testing, a 31.8 kilometer long elevated test track was built between the towns of Lathen and Dürpen in northwest Germany. The track was used for both demonstrations and public tours. However, it soon became a tourist attraction. But even the most futuristic systems still relied on human coordination, and in 2006, that reliance would prove tragically fatal. Every morning, a wheeled diesel-powered maintenance vehicle ran along the elevated track to check for debris. When its work was finished, it would wait in front of the last switch and radio the line dispatcher for clearance to leave the track. On September 22, 2006, the crew did just that, but received no response. The two workers on the maintenance vehicle were unaware that a special demonstration test run had been scheduled half an hour earlier than the usual that day. This test was carrying visitors from several associated companies, including engineers from Transrapid, employees of a local nursing care company, and the staff from the regional energy provider RWE. The maintenance crew expected to receive a radio message granting them clearance to exit the track, but remained waiting due to a communication breakdown. At 9:43 a.m., the Maglev train boarded as usual and conducted a brake test. 11 minutes later, at 9:52 a.m., the line dispatchers energized the track and radioed the train to proceed. However, there's no evidence that any dispatcher communicated with the maintenance vehicle, which remained on the track at this time, waiting for clearance itself. A minute later, at 9:53 a.m., the train began moving. It rapidly accelerated to 170 kilometers an hour, the standard speed for the first test loop. Then, just 57 seconds after it began moving, an emergency brake was activated. But it was too late. Roughly half a second later, and only 25 meters further down the track, the Transrapid slammed into the 60-ton maintenance vehicle at 162 kilometers an hour. Due to the Maglev's aerodynamic shape, the train dove under the maintenance vehicle, tearing its roof off in the process. The wreckage then slid another 300 meters before coming to a stop. Crushed metal hung 5 meters above the ground, making rescue efforts difficult and dangerous. Emergency crews used cranes and fire ladders to reach the suspended carriages, but below, shattered debris was scattered across the ground. 23 people were killed, and 11 more were injured, 10 of them seriously. The two-man crew of the maintenance vehicle survived because they were located at the far end of the vehicle. Some passengers survived only after being rescued from beneath the wreckage. 3 were heard knocking and rescued by cutting through the train's bottom panels. Others were freed by sawing through what was left of the carriages. This collision stunned the whole of Germany. "Today we are in mourning," said Chancellor Angela Merkel, who arrived on the site soon after the crash by helicopter. The nation was left asking, how could such an advanced system fail so catastrophically? Immediately following the crash, German authorities launched a full investigation. Rudolf Schwarz, head of operations at IABG, the company managing the test track, stated, "This accident would have not been possible if all regulations were adhered to. The maintenance vehicle, as per protocol, was supposed to radio the line dispatcher once the checks were complete, but that call either wasn't received or wasn't responded to. The dispatcher then gave clearance to the Maglev train, unaware that the maintenance vehicle was still on the track. Radio logs from both vehicles were analysed by prosecutors. The evidence pointed to a chain of human errors. One major failure was that the electric braking system, designed to prevent the train from moving during maintenance, had not been activated. This safety feature could have stopped the Maglev train from moving if the maintenance vehicle was still on the tracks, but it was not switched on that day, representing a critical missed safeguard. The accident revealed how even small lapses in procedure can cause devastating consequences, especially when safety systems are not fully integrated or enforced. In May 2008, a court in Osnabrück concluded that the crash was entirely preventable. 2 staff members were found guilty on 23 counts of manslaughter and 11 counts of causing negligent injury. They were fined €24,000 and €20,000 respectively. The line dispatcher who gave clearance to the Maglev train did not appear in court, as he was deemed psychologically unfit to stand trial. 2 other line dispatchers were also convicted. One received a suspended sentence of 18 months, and the other received a suspended 12-month sentence. The court noted their exceptional remorse, mental health struggles, and retirement status. Though the technology itself had not failed, the reliance on human coordination without sufficient safety procedures had led to this disaster. 1 year after the accident, a memorial stone was installed at the crash site. A panel of steel, set in stone, is stamped with 23 crosses, one for each of the lives lost in the accident. Each year, family members and residents gather to remember the victims, and to reflect on how easily tragedy can slip past even the most high-tech defences. Although the Lathen test track was eventually reopened in 2009, no passengers were ever able to board again. The Transrapid program quickly faded from Germany's priorities, and by 2011, Transrapid International had been dissolved. While China continues to develop Maglev routes, Germany has still not built a single commercial Maglev line. The project, once hailed as the future of travel, now serves as a cautionary tale. The Lathen train collision still remains the only fatal maglev accident in history, but it forever changed how we view safety, automation, and the critical role of human oversight. Because in the race for progress, even one unchecked mistake can have consequences that no piece of technology can ever undo.